Welcome back to the Bearded Garage. Today I have a 2021 Kia Seltos S all-wheel drive. It looks like we got some rumbling in the front end. They think it's brakes, so we're going to take a look and probably do a brake job. Follow along. As typical with most cars, the owner claims the front brakes are bad, but it looks like the rears are actually the worst ones. So we're going to be doing pads and rotors. Looks like front and rear. The fronts aren't horrible. So we do a quick inspection. Fronts aren't horrible, but the backing plates all fell off, and I don't know what the hell else to do. You can't really glue them back together. I think that's old school. So we're just going to do everything all the way around. All right, right after I take the wheel off, in order to get that rotor off, first thing I do is I spray these godforsaken screws because they're gonna be rusted to hell. I know it. I'm probably gonna need to use an air chisel on them. So, but just in case I can get them off, it's easier than dragging out the hose. So, spray those. Cool thing about this car, looks like unibody, so I can get both tires off at the same time. So I do front and rear at the same time. All right, here's the rears. Same thing, spray those little screw holes there. Those are, if you don't know, those are actually just used at the factory. They're actually not replaceable. You're not supposed to put new ones back in. You can put the old ones back in if you want, just to hold the rotors in place, but they're put on at the factory, so when this car is transported across the floor, or at least this is what I've heard, when it's transported across the floor on a rack, the rotors don't fall off. So that's literally it. So real quick, when you go to buy pads and rotors for this, they're going to ask you if you have a emergency brake, whether it's manual or electric, because it is a different, I guess a different pad or different brake system if you do. So you're going to have to know that before you buy your pads. Easy way to tell is this one. It's got a pull handle emergency brake right there. So so you'll have to know that when you order them. All right, first thing we're going to do here is remove the caliper. I'm using the ratchet here with a 14 mil socket. These should come off pretty easy. They're only pretty much hand tight. Once the two are off, there's one on the top, one on the bottom. You can just pull on the caliper here and, shoddy recording. Okay, hard to do with one hand, but just pull it off. Now, I'm just gonna set the caliper up out of the way for now. We'll secure that in a minute so it doesn't actually fall. Whew, look at that rotor. All right, on this rear caliper, telltale signs that this is a twisty. You can't just push that in with a C-clamp, so you'll need something like this. I got this years ago from, might have been ECS tuning or something for a Volkswagen, but this fits in here, slides in, I'll show you, and then it just make sure you twist it because that's a corkscrew, so it goes in clockwise. All right, so this tool is locked in place. You can see it's got tabs on the end, and as I twist it, it pushes against here and pushes the caliper piston in so I can fit the new pads on. I can't really twist it with one hand, so I'll just twist it and see what happens. All right, that's it. That piston's all the way in. It shouldn't take a whole lot of resistance. In fact, if it takes a lot of resistance, there's probably something hung up in your piston, and you probably should think about replacing the caliper or at least getting it cleaned out. All right. Next is we're going to take the what is this, caliper bracket off, and I think those are right here. Oh, those look like they're also 14 millimeters, so I'll give those a shot. I'll pop those off. All right, so even though I sprayed these screws, there is no chance in hell they are coming out of there. So, so next step, I just take a little bit of the air chisel and just buzz the sides off of them. Just break the heads right off, and it takes a minute or two. But I normally have a smaller head for it, but I can't seem to find it, so I'll just do it with this and show you the result. Well, that was actually a royal pain in the butt. This one actually pops off really quick, but this one here, man, I had a hell of a time getting off. Probably because the head on the air chisel is too big. So the rotor's, of course, stuck. I think it's just rusted to the hub. Since I'm actually just chucking these, I'm gonna whack it a couple of times. And when I do, whack it a little bit of here, turn it a little bit, whack it around a couple of times, and then whack it from the back. Should fall right off. I don't want to have to whack these rotors off next time, so I can brush the hub a little bit. Nothing special. Just clean off all the rust. And then just for my own sanity, I like to put a little bit of anti-seize right around this spot, because I think that's where that gets all hung up. And that is ready for a new rotor. And before I put these on, I got myself a little bit of, this is non-chlorinated brake cleaner. Whatever. I like to clean them up. This is just the grease that's normally on them from manufacturer. Just take a paper towel, wipe them down. I like the rotor face clean. They don't stop as well. Same here. Rotate the pad. Rotate this pad. Right. Flip the rotor. Same for the other side. So now, all we do is dry it off and should be ready to go. All right, before we put the new pads on, or even the caliper bracket on, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the pins out. So I wanna make sure you don't wear our damn calipers out. Sorry, it's a pain in the ass doing this with one hand. Take these pins out, we're gonna clean them off. We're gonna put a little bit more brake caliper grease on them and slide them right back in, make sure they've seated properly with the boots. That's one way to keep your brakes running well. All right, after I have pulled and greased both of these pins, the next thing you do is clean up these brackets. Now, I got new brackets, they came with them, but I'll be honest, lately, a lot of the aftermarket brackets lately, they're slightly different size. They don't fit quite the same. So I've been brushing them up to see how clean they are, see how dirty they are now. I'll brush them up, show you what they look like, and show you why I'll probably reuse these. All right, after they're cleaned, you can see they really don't look bad. So I'm going to reuse the originals. I just noticed the manufacturer originals, they squeak less, they make less noise. So I'm going to grease these up, and then we'll put this bracket back on the hub. All right, so I said grease it up. What did I mean? I mean, I actually put grease on the sliding parts here. So where the pads are going to slide in and out on where this works. I don't want them to make any noise, so anytime there's metal on metal, I grease it up. We'll slide this back on, throw the pins back in. I'll throw these, throw a little anti-seize on those because they were kind of a pain to get out. That was a 14 mil nut for the caliper bracket. So that's what it looks like when the bracket is back on with a little bit of grease. If you're careful, you don't get any on the rotor. You can absolutely grease it after you put that bracket back on. I just find that I can't see anymore, and it's hard for me to get in there and actually get it done. So now for the pads. All right, so you got to pay attention when you do the pads themselves. So if you take a look, there's actually pins here on these pads and pins here on these. So facing us is going to be this pad, and I'll tell you why. When you go to put this in, I believe you just click it in. It goes forward. I think it just slides in like this. Perfect. So you see these two pins here. They don't interfere with these two pieces here on the outside of the caliper. So if you put the other ones in, the caliper just won't fit, and you'll know you have the wrong way. I don't know if it's a secret or if it's just me, but I take my brake caliper grease. I also put it on the outside of the metal pads. You're probably gonna say, what the freaking hell, why? Because this metal will be touching that metal, and I don't wanna hear noise. So I do it for both front and rear because there'll be a metal piston touching the other side. Once I do that, I'm pretty sure I'll have no squeaking. And that is how I do rear brakes on a Kia Selos all-wheel drive. Throw the wheel back on, torque them down, torque down the lug nuts, and should be good to go. All right, front brakes on a Kia Selos. First thing we're gonna do is let's take the caliper off itself. Just like the rear, it's a 14 mil. So, let's take this off quick. Should come off pretty easy, I think. Yeah, see, she's coming. Give her a little bit of pry. All right, let's see what we got here. Hang this up out of the way just for now. Pads don't look all that bad. Same as the other side though, the backing plates are all falling off, which is kind of shitty. I don't like that. But in either case, customer wants them done, so we are going to replace them. One great thing is when I started the rear brakes, I actually came in and sprayed these with my favorite Croyle penetrating fluid, and lo and behold, I don't need the air chisel. Look at this. It's rusty, you can tell it's a pain in the butt, but she gonna come out. All right, the only change between this and the rear, I think, is the caliper bracket. This guy here is held on with 17 millimeter bolts. So I'm gonna take both these off and take a look at what we got. All right, just like the rear caliper brackets, these clips actually are in pretty good condition. I'm probably gonna get some crap from if anybody actually watches this video, but I've been tended not to replace these because what I'm finding is the aftermarket ones are a lot crappier. They don't fit quite as well and they squeak more. So I'm gonna press this back down in to see as it come loose a little bit right there. I'm gonna grease it up and I'll put it back together. Unlike the rears on this car, the pistons on this caliper just press in, so I'm just using a C-clamp to press it in. You can see I'm using an old brake pad, so I have something to push against the piston, and just using the nut on the back of it. So just crank it in and then should be able to set the pads. Same as doing the pads on the back. Make sure you got the 2 pins on this brake pad on this side, so it'll slip in between here. The one on the outside, on the inside of there, is pins are on the outside, so it doesn't actually interfere here. Next is put some grease here and here where these pieces will touch. Same with the back, and I should be good to go. Then we'll bolt all this back together. Yes, I did put the screw back in, if anybody's wondering. Why did I put it back in? I don't know. Because it had it and it was good, and I buzzed the rest of them off because they were a pain in my ass. So I had it, so I put it back in. I put a little anti-seize on it too, so the next person will have a little easier job. That's what she looks like all back together. All right, that was front and rear brakes on a Kia Selos. Now I said Seltos a few times in that video because I'm an idiot. That's pretty much the only reason. So I put the wheels back on. Those particular ones, it's a Selos all-wheel drive. S model, aluminum wheels. Looks like anywhere between 75 and 95 foot-pounds. I put them on around 95. So I torqued them down to 95 and we're good to go. So that's the whole job on a Kia Selos brakes. The front was obviously abbreviated because it's the same as the rear. So thanks for tuning in to the Bearded Garage. Smash that like button, hit subscribe so you see what's coming up next, and don't forget, America.